Yo guys, what is going on? We got the Fender Rumble 800, a modeling bass amplifier here, right here. Let's check it out. Okay, so and this is the Fender Rumble Stage 800 to correct myself, with Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, bass combo amplifier, 800 watts, 2 times 10 inches and horn. Now check this out. This amp really has a lot of features. It's sort of like the Rumble 500. That's why I got the name a little bit confused. But this one has Bluetooth capability, and you have all the presets that you can find on the amp, also on your Android or iPhone. So you can download sounds, and you can also sort of remote control the amp from here. You can load sounds from here and then edit them, load pedals, amps, preamps, and so forth. Here are the amps that are available. I'm going to show you a few. So here you can control the amp settings, whatever's more convenient for you. You can control that on the amp itself. Pretty easy. It's got a multifunction button and a few other buttons, or you can do it on the phone. I like doing it on the amp, but this is very, very easy, especially if you can't get to the amp that easily. You can do it while you're facing something else. This is the Come Together preset, huh? Funny. Let me show you the amp models. This is clean, the studio preamp. The 2 preamp is colored, and you have a Bassman TV, a dual Showman, a 59 Bassman, a Rumble V2. Oh, you got tons of them. You got distorted sounds, you got the orange sound, you got the SWR, you got Ampeg. It's really mind-boggling. And then you have the pedals. Some of them are kind of like guitar pedals, and you can use them as such. Nothing wrong with that on a Bassman, for example. This is really some deep modeling going on. Look at that. So when you record it to your DAW, you can use that instead of Universal Audio, for example. And you can send a signal to the house that is already colored. You can send it pre or post. Look at all these parameters here on the pedal. So you got a simple compressor built in for every amp, but then you have the pedal, and it gets pretty detailed. Ratio and so forth. So you can pre-program your sounds if you want, or you can play around with that while the audience is looking at you. Imagine that. They're all looking at you while you fiddle around with your phone. Hold on. He's getting a text. Hold on. He's on Instagram. What the f is he doing? It's tempting, though. I won't lie. All right, let's check out Studio Preamp. That's super dry, nothing. DI, basically. Yes, and the levels do vary. Keep that in mind, but it's not a big problem. You can address that. SWR. Very usable sound for me, especially live. Translates very well. Gives you that scooped sound. Sounded best with a 2x10 redhead. You can change it to a 212 open, 212 closed. Insane. See how dark he gets? A redhead through a 59 bassman. Interesting. Another sound I really liked. It has a musical quality to it. And it's got a tuner built in, and it shows that on the display, I believe on the app, and then also on the foot pedal, on the foot switch. It's amazing. And it's a very accurate tuner. It's very, very sensitive. Not so much on the pedal, but here on the amp itself. And it mutes everything. So if you want to mute the amp, just hit the tuner. Hold it down. Hold the foot pedal down. By default, small room, this effect that you see here is enabled. I think that's not really necessary, but it's, I guess, to sell them. I don't need reverb on my bass. No, thank you. Smooth. I really like that tone, I won't lie. Remember on the Rumble V3 you have the vintage button that you can press on the other Fender amps? That's exactly this. So same controls as on a regular Fender amp, but you don't have that. You have to go through the menu to get to it. Bassman 300, a usable sound, man. And I'm recording this through USB from the amp. I think, yeah, from the amp. How do I record it? You can record via USB, stream to the computer, or you can use the post DI out. Don't remember. Sorry for keep showing you my back pocket here. Could have worn some nicer pants at least. And bring out a nicer strap. Several chorus pedals. was fiddling around too long. So it says KGB 800 slap, but I was inspired to do something else. It's got that dark tone, very fundamental rock and roll. Rock and peg, so Ampeg. A little bit too compressed for my liking. Stadium rig. So that you can imagine how it would sound like doing your own sound check before the band gets there at Wembley Stadium. I like that sound, but it's not typical. It's a bit too dark and thick for Motown. But it's a good sound, so you'd have to dial that in a little bit, maybe reduce the bass. Then you have the stomp boxes. Tremolo on the Rumble V3. All right, let's check out the chorus. That is super funky. I really like that tone. So what I found super interesting is if you have Bluetooth enabled and the app on your phone, by the way, it's a requirement, then if you switch on the amp, the phone follows suit, the phone or the iPad, the mobile device. I find that pretty cool. So you can kind of like work it both at the same time. Yeah, it gives you a good idea. It gives also a good way to organize your sound. Presets and preferences and so forth. You have playlists, so you can prepare a show and have like different songs. You can line up your songs and have different settings for different songs. I think that goes insanely overboard because they have a different amp for each song. But you can group them. You don't have to go so crazy that you have 24 different amps per show. But just think about it. You can really prepare. A tip: just whatever you hear with your headphones or in your room, it's not going to be the same thing you hear on stage. Try those sounds out on stage. The ones that don't sound as great, in close proximity, can sound amazing on stage, and vice versa, and cannot sound so good on stage. It cannot sound so good at home. So try it out. So let me show you let me show you other features. I think Fender did a great job here paying attention to detail. Let's see what I dialed up here. I'm doing this in hindsight, my voiceover. You can have a set list, cloud presets, foot switch setting, EQ and amp settings, global EQ. You can say what goes out, line out in USB gain. So here is, if you feel that everything's too bright, you can flatten them. You can gain the line out, and you can gain the USB. About this amp, we'll give you firmware updates. Your 2 DI boxes in the back is either stereo or pre and post. The preset organizer is very cool. You can move presets around, copy them, save them, delete them. I'm jumping around like crazy. That's how you get to the tuner. The foot switch is pretty cool. So that's for your expression pedal, how that controls your effects. And then that's the foot switch. Looper on. QA is quick access. So whatever you hit, that's hardwired. And then you can say which first 3 defaults you have. So you can have 3 that are hardwired. You don't have to jump through presets. Whatever you press, it's that amp that's going to show up. You can control which amp that is. And that's not running through the presets. That's like quick access 1, quick access 2, quick access 3. Find that very helpful. And needless to say, everything gets stored. So your volume levels, make sure your volume levels are equal. The factory presets, some of the feedback people are saying is like that one is louder than the other. Just balance it out either with the volume, with the general volume, or on the gain structure. The master, the only button that doesn't get stored is the master button on the amp, which is great because if you're on stage, you need to change something. Nothing can override that. But everything else, just make sure you balance your sounds, put a little work into it, and I think you'd be amazed. This thing has so many features. Power is amazing, 800 watts, 400 watts if you just use it as a combo. Then you get 800 to 4 ohms if you hook up maybe a 15-inch cabinet would be adequate, or another 4 times 10, or another 210, I should say. But yeah, very impressed with this one, and the tones I'm getting from the amp via USB into DAW, into Logic in my case, is really, really usable. You also have an aux in, so you can practice. You can also play music back from your phone onto the amp. So if you want to practice, you can play from your phone onto the amp. If you wear headphones, that disables the speaker, the cabinet, and then so you would have headphones, you would stream from the phone to the amp, you'd have amp sound in the headphones, but then a Bluetooth input or a line input. So I think it's a great practice tool. The only thing this is missing would be maybe a metronome. That's about it. I think this is everything. The foot switch is built like a tank. Great. It's somewhat heavy, depends on what heavy is. these days. I think 40 pounds, 45 pounds total with everything. So it's not something you want to schlep for a mile, but yeah, definitely you can carry that with one hand for a little bit. All right, guys, that's it. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to try to hit the 10,000 subscriber mark this year, or even by June. So if you guys want to help me with that, I appreciate it. Like, comment, criticize all you want. It's all appreciated. Let's get the conversation going. All things music. Massive Beats out.